If the gospel hasn't actually changed the way we live, have we really been impacted by the gospel at all? Hi, I'm Pastor Zach, and you're watching From the Desk from First Evangelical Free Church. Each week, we take a look at the sermon that we've heard the week before and kind of expand on it to see how that applies into our lives on an everyday basis. Last week, Pastor Rob preached from Luke chapter 7. In that passage, we saw the parable of the two debtors, and we also saw how Simon responded and how Mary responded. It was clear as we looked at that passage together that there should be some significant change in the way that we live if we've been impacted by the gospel at all. Fast forward 3 chapters and you get to Luke chapter 10, and there we see a different Mary and her sister Martha. This is also the house where Jesus' friend Lazarus lived. Right there in the latter half of chapter 10, we see these two sisters approaching Jesus very differently. Both of them have a relationship with God, but one of them is so focused on the task that she's missing the opportunity to spend time with Jesus. Martha is working in the kitchen. She's diligently doing so, trying to make things best, trying to serve the master, whereas Mary is sitting at Jesus' feet, listening to him teach. At this point, Jesus tells Martha that Mary has made the better choice. She is sitting with Jesus, listening to him teach, spending time with him because she loves him. And that's one of the things that defines the Christian, is how we love God and love others. We have talked multiple times about how all the law and the prophets is summed up on 2 things: love God and love others. In fact, when we look at John's epistles, it's very clear that for us to love God means that we must love one another. And when we look at 1 Corinthians 13, which is in the middle of a book that's all about how to live the Christian life, how we're supposed to live spirit-filled lives, we get to a point where Paul tells you, look, if you are the most gifted, if you're the most capable, if you're serving God in all these fantastic ways, but you don't love, then what you're doing is worthless. In fact, Paul tells them that despite all of your giftedness, you are unloving. And so you're not displaying Christ. What does this mean for us today? Well, the first thing we need to remember and understand is that God calls us, yes, to serve him, but also to love him and to love the people that he died for. Especially in today's confrontational society, it's very easy to get wrapped up in trying to make sure that everybody is thinking and acting the correct way, and forgetting that we need to also have compassion and care for those people. So are you a Mary or are you a Martha? Both of them are serving God. Both of them love God. Both of them are responding to the gospel in a way that they feel is best. But God saw Mary's response as one of compassion and care, devotion to God, displaying her love for God and ultimately other people. Martha was so fixed on the task that she was unable to see the value of just sitting with God. Are you the kind of Christian that understands that we're supposed to defend sound doctrine and we need to make sure that people know what is true and what is right? But are you doing so in such a way that the love of God is missed? One of my favorite illustrations is from Paul Washer, and I won't go into detail because we've told it before here on the channel, but the whole point of his illustration was that if you say that you're late for work because you've been hit by a semi, there's going to be evidence that that's happened. One of the greatest evidences of our lives being changed by the gospel is that when we interact with those around us, particularly with those who are still under the influence and the power of sin, that we're marked by compassion and love, by gentleness, by inviting them to sit at the Master's feet, to show them the love of Christ overcomes all, that despite their sin, while they were still sinners, Christ died for them. What kind of response are you going to have this week as you follow Christ? Let us know in the comments below on helpful ways that you can show the love of Christ to those around you, and make sure you're liked and subscribed to the channel so you don't miss when From the Desk goes live, or our services, which happen every Sunday at 10:15 Mountain Standard Time, streamed right here on the channel as well. You don't want to miss any of those. Thanks for watching From the Desk, and we'll see you next week.